Hey, it's Jess, and I'm here to talk about why GMOs are even a thing. Why do they exist? What's their purpose? You know, on one hand, we're talking about the Industrial Revolution and how we can make more of a certain crop if it's modified in a way so that insects aren't attracted to it. You can produce a larger yield, it's less risk, it's more money, it's more consistent. So you have that end. Then we have the side of GMOs that people don't really talk about. And that's the purpose of an heirloom food. The purpose in culture, the purpose in your body for these heirloom foods, and how foods, original foods, and the DNA in those original foods, how they communicate to your human DNA. Now, when you have an heirloom food, it could be heirloom wheat, it could be berries, whatever it is. Your body is going to be able to break down those seeds, to break down those fibers, and to utilize every aspect of the food. The food is meant to awaken your body, to fuel your body in every way. And with that connection that humans would have to food, it's like the connection to a baby and a mother. It's the source of what you need for survival. You're respecting of it. You don't take from it and you give back to it. It's like a relationship from a baby to a mother. The baby needs its mother until it's weaned off. And then the baby grows a little bit older and is able to do things for their mother. It's that kind of relationship. Now, when you take away the natural aspect of these foods, these plants, and you modify the DNA, and you reinsert it back into society and say, hey, it's the same thing, and we eat it, all of a sudden, it's not signaling to our brain and to our body in certain areas that it's being fed. You can eat a bunch of certain grains or certain vegetables and fruits now that are genetically modified and hardly pull any nutrients from it because all it has become is the image of something, but the nutritional content of it is lacking. It's been depreciated a lot. So why would they want to do that? It should cost just as much money to grow a non-genetically modified fruit as it is a genetically modified one. The answer is food speaks to people. Food, natural foods, provide health and nutrients to people. If people are doing everything they can to achieve optimal health, and even when they think they're achieving it, they're not because the nutrition in the foods have been depreciated, that means that person's more inclined, without their knowledge, of being susceptible to getting sick. They are not building those natural defenses as if they were eating the full heirloom version of those fruits and vegetables. That person is a little bit more depreciated in their health than they realize that they are. And then we want to differentiate at grocery stores what's organic and what's not, and then charge more for having a seemingly heirloom or original fruit or vegetable or crop or whatever it is. Is it? Who knows? There's levels to what you can call organic. It's not just it's not as transparent as people think it is. Now, why would they want you to have less nutrients? Well, think about the natives. Corn is one of the highest GMO foods that's on the market. Corn is extremely genetically modified. It doesn't look at all what it originally was. It doesn't taste like it originally did. And originally corn was like the mother plant on the earth to the natives. So then you have these colonizers come, and then they see the relationship that the natives have with the corn and how they're so grateful of having the corn, the mother corn, and how they used it in ceremonies, and how much corn was a part of their culture. Well, if you want to control them, then you have to take away the things that help them to connect with who they are. Because if someone knows who they are, they know their purpose, and they're extremely grounded, you really can't tell them nothing. It's very hard to control those people. But when you take away or modify that corn generationally, and then you keep reinserting it into society and saying, no, here's your corn. Worship that. Do ceremonies with that. Connect with that. Eat that. And it doesn't resonate the same, and it doesn't digest the same, and it doesn't look the same, and it doesn't grow the same, then you're disconnecting those people not only from their opportunity to be in health, but their spirituality and their connection to the earth. People now more than ever are more disconnected with nature than they ever have been. We see people polluting all the time. We've seen people just go meals and meals and meals without anything fresh, anything healthy, not having any sort of care, and they have a complete lack of concern for nutrients, nutritional value in foods. People are disconnected with nature because their bodies are not receiving the DNA from nature to connect with it. If you're not putting those natural chemicals, that DNA, that frequency of the earth into your body, then you are not in alignment with the earth. And if you're not in alignment with the planet, then you're disconnected from the source. That goes with foods, and also goes with tobacco and marijuana also, both of which been heavily genetically modified too. A lot of times people just talk about food. It's not only in the plants. Animals have been genetically modified. The animals that people consume mostly. Chickens, pork has been genetically modified. Originally the wild boar, which is brown. Chickens were naturally brown or red. Now they're white with white eggs. White eggs, you would never find a white egg 100 years ago. You just wouldn't. So there's a reason why plants, animals, foods, tobacco, marijuana have been genetically modified. It's disconnecting you from the source of nature. Do you remember when marijuana was real? Before it became medical marijuana, before they genetically modified it, before it made people feel not quite right. A lot of people are adapting their tolerance to the medical marijuana because they just choose to continue to incorporate that into their lifestyle, even though for most people it doesn't really work with their bodies and respond to their bodies the way it used to with the natural marijuana. The GMO marijuana, GMO tobacco, disconnects people from the earth. The DNA and the frequency in those modified plants is not reconnecting you to the source, the planet, the earth. It's not putting you in that mental frequency of being connected, of being one. It has you on alternate frequency, an alternate vibration, and negative vibration, just like processed foods. Those negative vibrations bring about negative thoughts, negative behaviors, and negative attitude. It's a negative frequency. And then you have all these people eating processed foods and smoking processed and GMO marijuana and tobacco. And they're just walking darkness. They're walking pieces of negative frequency because they're not listening to their body, responding to what they're putting into it. Your body will let you know. If you're not sensitive enough to be aware of what works for your body and what doesn't, then there's many ways you can go about it, but you're going to want to come off of the processed things that you were putting into your body. I recommend doing a organic smoothie fast or like a 3-day fast. You're gonna wanna cut out drinking and smoking altogether. Some people don't want to do that. It's hard to transition from being wrapped up in that negative frequency because it's addicting. Addicting behavior, no matter what it is a negative frequency. It's a lack of self-control. When you are not in control, then something is in control of you. Now, if you aren't in control when you're addicted to these processed foods that are purposely placed in the market to make you addicted, to disconnect you from the earth frequency, the natural frequency, to disconnect you from accessing that connection to your ancestors, from being mentally and spiritually aware. It's meant to disconnect you from that, as is tobacco and as is marijuana. When you're disconnected from your source, from nature, and you're not in control of yourself, and you don't have that positive frequency of control and awareness and knowing yourself, then you have the frequency of a lack of control, a lack of awareness. And with that, makes you more susceptible to being controlled. So not only do we have the problem of modifying foods and plants that we ingest, at the same time, what's going on is there's an increase of other highly stimulating things to be controlled by. So people have a lack of control due to, the first step you're going to want to do is disconnect people from the planet, because the planet and disconnecting someone from nature is going to disconnect people from every other thing that they're involved in. The first thing is to disconnect them from nature. Then people will start to have addicting behaviors towards other things like electronics, their phones, video games. People tend to be overstimulated in many ways that can wreak havoc in relationships, in your personal life. Children have become overstimulated by electronics, which can lead to problems with overstimulation and aggression as they transition into an adult, and they don't know why, that they have these addictive behaviors, because they were overstimulated as children with being engaged with video games and computer games and always having a phone or an iPad in their hand. They're overstimulated. Food today, especially the processed foods, it's overstimulating. It's the sensory is too explosive. It's too much for a moment. Nothing in nature is going to be overstimulating to that degree. Nature is balanced. That's why people don't have these blood sugar spikes and freak out and get tired and get, just completely lose control from being in a healthy, balanced lifestyle, a healthy, balanced diet. So there's levels to losing control. And the first place is with GMO foods, GMO crops that people like to inhale or take as herbs if they're GMOs. It can cause adverse behaviors. And if you don't have control and if you don't have awareness, then it's easier for other entities, other people, and for the society or the media, the trend in which they want to control you, in which they're trying to influence you, it's easier for you to fall prey to the agenda, to what they want for you, which is to be an overconsumer of everything, of luxuries, of foods, of anything indulgent. They want you to overconsume. They want you to be superficial. They don't want you to care about things that matter like personal connections with people, things that matter such as issues as far as the health of the planet. They don't want you to be concerned about those things. And that's for a reason, so that you can be controlled. The more they push you away from your connection with nature, which can be through natural tobacco, which can be through natural marijuana, which can be through natural foods, original foods, heirlooms. That's how our ancestors connected with the planet. They had relationships, healthy relationships with the natural resources on this planet Earth. Now, when you take away those natural connections, those natural vibrations, you're kind of forced to gravitate towards a negative frequency, patterns of behavior that are negative. You're being fed to do patterns of negative behavior through the media, through the television. They're constantly promoting you to attach yourself to a negative behavior. Use your best discernment. The reason why everything has turned to a GMO is to lessen the grip that humans have with nature so that they can be controlled. Nature lets you know who you are, what you need, your purpose. Nature is the answer to all of your problems. And if you can get fixed through nature, then you are whole. And that means you know yourself. In order to control a whole society, a whole planet, a whole human race, you would need to detach them from their identity, their true identity. You can choose to be in a positive frequency by becoming aware of how you feel when you ingest certain things, doing your research, knowing what are the most healthy choices that you can make, thinking about nutritional content. Is this nutritionally dense? Does my body need this? Is this fuel for my body? And letting go of negative addictive behaviors of products and of lifestyle choices that are purposely placed in this matrix for you to overconsume and overindulge in and become addicted to. If you have addictions, that means you are being controlled. And that means it is working. Nothing is meant to be addicting. Nothing. So just think about that. Think about if there's anything in your life that you're overly stimulated by, overly addicted to, and think about how what it is that you're doing is disconnected from nature. How that one thing that you're doing is affecting other areas of focus and connectedness that you should be having with your true self. And how that even entered your life, so you can be aware to not become distracted by that again. So you can be aware of how to not let yourself lose yourself again. It's always good to be aware of how it happened. GMOs are here and in everything to disconnect you from the source. Don't let the dark frequency control you. Because as soon as you do, it can do and whatever it wants with you, and it can make you believe anything. Anything that you see on TV, anything that it's saying that you're going to believe it, and you're going to manifest darkness into your life by being conflicted with things that you see because you don't know the truth or you question if it's true. They're saying that we're all like this. I'm mad about it. I want to start a riot. You don't have to be affected by things that it is saying. If you know yourself, if you're in that positive frequency, if you have a connection to nature, then you already know. And nothing can distract you, and nothing can pull you away from what you're focused on to control you.